Hey guys, it's Optimus Prime here. I know it's been a while since I made my last video, so I thought it was time to do a video review about the web series Transformers Combiner Wars. I know I'm a little bit late to this, but I feel now is the time to really give you guys what I think of this web series. Now I'm going to be diving into spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, go down into the description below and you can watch all 8 episodes in their entirety on Go90.com. Now the entire series is co-produced by Hasbro Studios and Machinima and was animated by the legendary Tatsunoko Productions, who was responsible for making Speed Racer, Gatchaman, and Macross. I think I'm pronouncing that right. In my Jetfire Skyfire video, I pronounced it as Macross, and so I think I'm getting it right this time. They chose to use an animation style similar to the current Transformers cartoon, Transformers Robots in Disguise. But they decided to slow down the frame rate in an attempt to make it seem more like hand-drawn animation. Unfortunately, it comes across very choppy and it looks more like a poorly produced video game. The characters mouth flap in such a strange way that it sometimes feels like Godzilla movies that were poorly dubbed. And I almost say that Transformers Energon was animated better than this. However, the actual visuals themselves aren't that bad. Most of the characters look like their current toys. Starscream, Computron, Menasor, Victorion, and Megatron look like their Combiner Wars toys, which emulate their G1 appearances slightly. And the backgrounds look really well done. They even chose to animate Optimus Prime's mouth plate moving as he talks, which is always a plus in my book. Instead of choosing to use official voice actors, they decided to use various YouTube personalities and up-and-coming voice actors to voice the different characters. This was probably done to save costs, but this sometimes makes the lines come across really flat. Some of it's due to the writing, so I don't really blame the voice actors completely, but characters like the Mistress of Flame and Metroplex completely lack any dimension. Optimus Prime is voiced by John Bailey, I think that's how you pronounce it, the guy from Honest Trailers, and he does a decent job, and so does John Marnocha, who does the voice of Megatron. Frank Totoro, he attempts to emulate Chris Latta as best he can, but some of it really falls short because of the really poor script. The series is very short. It's 8 episodes long, and each episode is only about 5 to 6 minutes long a piece. So that really makes the whole series about 40 minutes in total, and shorter than any special in G1, whether it's the Ultimate Doom, or the Rebirth, or even 5 Faces of Darkness. 5 Faces of Darkness is 5 parts. Because of its length, though, you would think that they would escalate everything and make it really grand like they did in G1. Instead, each episode takes its time to set up the setting that they're in. In the second episode, The Council, Starscream flies over an empty Cybertron, and he flies up and he transforms and he flies through a tube, and then he finally lands in front of the council. I mean, this takes a whole minute to do this. It almost would seem like all of these sequences that drag out are trying to make each episode seem longer. Things like this wouldn't be a problem if they actually took the time to explain the world that they were in. The main issue here is that the story takes a lot of cues from both G1 and the IDW comics, but it sets it up in its own universe. Most of G1 Transformers fans will know a lot of who these characters are, but those who are newcomers, they'll be really confused. It almost feels like the story they were trying to tell would have been better suited if the series itself were cutscenes to a video game. Transformers Devastation, which this is not a direct sequel to, as I originally thought, did a better job of telling the overall story, despite it being simplistic. The story is this: the Autobots and the Decepticons have had their war, and the war is over. Optimus Prime and Megatron are now in exile in separate places, while Cybertron is being led by a council of Optimus Prime, Starscream, and the Mistress of Flame. They currently have in their possession the Enigma of Combination, which is used to create combiners, at least in this universe. The combiners themselves are revolting and start a new war. Windblade sees the destruction around her and decides to embark on a campaign to kill all the combiners after her friend Maxima, who was introduced in this series, is killed. She ends up teaming up with Optimus Prime and Megatron to destroy the Enigma of Combination and stop the Council. Starscream ends up betraying them and becomes the ultimate combiner, which is more like a big giant floating head, before Windblade uses Metroplex to hold him off long enough for Optimus Prime to use Megatron as a gun, or a space blaster, or whatever, to destroy him. It's rather simple, but the writing and the presentation leave a lot to be desired. The combiners themselves are the only personality when they're combined. The Constructicons were wrestling with Megatron for whatever reason, and only beeped as if they were R2-D2 or the Armada Minicons. Windblade, unlike other series that depict her heroically and usually very kind, she's hell-bent on killing all combiners, and fans have dubbed her Murder Blade. Which really goes to show that the writers didn't understand how to characterize many of the characters besides Optimus Prime and Megatron. My favorite character, Rodimus Prime, was given a leadership role, but he was barely there to accomplish anything except get his arm torn off by Devastator. The idea that Starscream became a superpowered being is similar to when he gained the power of the Underbase in the G1 Marvel Comics, but he barely does anything. Instead, he's just a giant screaming head, and it's cringeworthy. Megatron still having a gun mode was nice, because I know a lot of G1 fans, they hate when he's not a gun. Or they also hate when he gets turned into a tank, which he does do because that is his Combiner Wars toy, and that was kind of nice. But there's a corny line right at the end that I don't want to spoil for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but you should go see it, which really sums up how the series writing really was. Now, they did try to set up the world in 4 prelude episodes, and I did my thoughts on that on a previous video, which, by the way, Hasbro, thanks for putting a copyright claim on that one, because that's the whole reason why I decided to do this review this way. Overall, I really didn't like Combiner Wars. I think it was animated poorly, the writing was bland, and it was too short to tell a story the way that they presented it. The old G1 cartoon had 23 minutes to tell a story, and it did so with finesse. But this barely accomplished that in 40 minutes. Now, this is supposed to be part of the Prime Wars trilogy, and they did set it up for Titan's Return to be the next story, but I don't even know if I want to see them produce that. Personally, I would rather they did a true G1 sequel taking place after the rebirth, and since they basically are already doing Headmasters with these new toys, it's only fitting that they could incorporate the new toys with G1 being a continuation. But that's wishful thinking. But what did you think? Did you like Combiner Wars, or did you think they missed the mark with this web series? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I intend to do more Transformers discussions soon. If so, like the video and subscribe. I want to thank each and every one of you for helping me reach over 4,000 subscribers. It means that I'll be doing more Transformers discussions soon, as well as some classic video game and movie reviews as well. And as always, guys, until next time.
What was that you always used to say, Prime? Oh, that's right. Transform and roll out.